Congratulations to Blue Scapegoats for winning the Protagonist Drawing Contest. Be sure to check out their Tumblr down below. It is linked in the description for some awesome fan art. Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yugioh Everything back with another video. The Arc 5 summaries for episodes 138, 139, and 140 have all come out. Yes, we already knew the 138 summary, and unfortunately because of this scan right here, we kind of knew what to expect with these next episodes, but regardless, I am going to show you the summaries. So if you do not want any spoilers, click off this video right now. 3, 2, 1, here are the summaries. So thank you to It's Brad HD, Rarity Fangirl, Lionel Head, a few other people for sending me this. I do appreciate it as always, and here are the episode summaries. So episode 138. Gongenzica and Jack begin an intense duel against Zark. Zark then summons a deadly menace to the field, Supreme King Servant Dragon Clearwing. And the episode is now called the Dark-Winged Dragon, when it was called the Black-Winged Dragon, and a lot of people maybe speculated that it was Crow, but then a lot of people did comment and say it's probably the corrupt version of Clearwing. And that's probably what it's going to be. And Supreme, I think it's interesting that he's not calling Clearwing, but he's calling Supreme King Dragon Servant Clearwing. So I wonder if there's a difference there. I'm sure there probably is a slight difference. Maybe Clearwing will have a darker, corrupt look to him, and that's why we get the name of the episode, the Dark-Winged Dragon, originally the Black-Winged Dragon, so that's interesting. 139, the eyes tainted by darkness. The next duelists to challenge Zark are Sawatari and a resurrected Crow. As the two try to call out to Yugioh through their dueling, Zark seems to be shaken for a moment, but, Episode 140, Pendulum of the Soul. The fierce battle against Zark continues. Ray appears before Reira once again and tells him that there is a soul residing inside Zark. The duelists who have challenged Zark also feel the same. A showdown between Reiji and Zark then begins. Will everyone's emotions towards Yugioh be able to create a miracle in this battle? And then they did list episode 141 and they said no summary available. I know it's not in this picture, but a few of the scans I have seen that listed in. So maybe we'll get 141 at a period in time. Also, these are very brief summaries. They're not the full episode summaries. When the full episode summaries come out, I'm probably not going to do another video on them, but maybe I'll wait for the full episode summaries to come out before doing the podcast, only because there's not a lot to go on. I was planning to do it this weekend, but maybe I'll plan on doing it over the week or next weekend. I'll talk to the people in the podcast for that. But so if that podcast isn't out this weekend, it'll be out probably next weekend when we get more information on these episodes. But some really interesting things. Just to note, if this show ends the last week of March, which I've been speculating it's going to, I think March 27th was the day I predicted way back in one of my earlier videos that this is when the show is going to end, mainly because GX, 5Ds, and Zexal, not 100% sure about Duel Monsters, all ended the last week of March. These are the 11th, 10th, and 9th final episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. To put that into perspective, it's pretty sombering, because you put it in that perspective, and it's like, wow, these are like the final duels. And I gotta say, coming off of that Yuya Yuri duel, which was a great duel, by the way, a duel that I really, really did enjoy. I loved episode 135. We're after that duel, we're going to get 4 one-off duels. 136 was a one-off, 137 was a one-off, 138 and 139, not one-off, but all one-episode duels. And I really don't like that, because we're this late in the show, we should be having some quality, content-filled duels, in my opinion, just looking back on how GX, 5Ds, and Zexal all handled their duels down the end of the line. And Duel Monsters, I never really compare it to Duel Monsters, because that final season was a lot different than most typical Yu-Gi-Oh! Final seasons, even though it did have a very good duel against Yugi and Bakura, and of course the ceremonial duel. But I mean, besides those two duels, that was pretty much it when they went to the spirit world. Or not the spirit world, but, Egypt. So that I never really compared Duel Monsters for that reason, but the other spin-offs all had really good duels. The one that was probably the weakest was GX, and you could feel that, and that, was confirmed that season was a bit rushed. And I think when you look back on this in Arc 5, I think they're going to say, this was all a bit rushed, because ever since the Synchro arc ended, it's just had that feeling that it was rushed. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that felt that way, and it still kind of feels that way. And now, Gongenzica and Jack, Jack Atlas is going to be a one-episode defeat. Crow Hogan is going to be a one-episode defeat. And so it's interesting. I guess it's kind of cool that Sawatari and Crow are going to get through to Zark, because that final line in 139, Zark seems to be shaken for a moment, but obviously he's going to come out on top. I guess it's fair that Shingo does something and gets through to Zark, because he's going to go the entire show without having a single solo win. But regardless, he's going to get through to him a little bit. And again, we don't know if this is going to be one continuous duel. Because again, if Gangenzaka and Jack interfere, and Sawatari and Crow interfere, and Ray interferes, and Reiji interferes, this technically becomes a 10-on-1 duel. And I guess you have to judge it based on one duel instead of a bunch of separate duels. So I guess that maybe is what they're going to go for, but I don't know, I think they kind of trapped themselves with even summoning Zark this early, because I was comparing it to what Zexal did, and Don Thousand really was only around for 3 or 4 episodes. I mean, he always had a presence, so I guess it was a little, but Zark had a presence, you can say that, definitely. But Vector carried the load for Yugioh Zexal's antagonists, and I think Yuri could have done a very similar job, and I think he did a decent job. And it wasn't his fault. I think just the pacing again was poor, and now you have a situation where you have Zark, who at the moment seems to be kind of just I don't want to say bland, but he seems to be just a very stale kind of villain at the moment. And again, we've only seen him in 1 episode, so that could change. Who now has to duel for the next 10 episodes, and they're all just seeming to be one-off duels. It'll be interesting because Reiji is going to verse Zark alone, it seems, where we all thought he would verse him with Ray. So I wonder if Reira is going to be the vessel for Ray, and Ray is going to duel through Reira, or maybe Reira and Ray are going to team up. Also, very briefly mentions how Crow will be resurrected. He has to make an appearance in 138, because to resurrect him at the beginning of 139 would just seem very, very rushed. But yeah, we'll see what they do there. I've already kind of talked enough about that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. The most interesting thing here, probably in 138, that Supreme King Servant Dragon Clearwing, that seems to be an alternate version of Clearwing. We are probably getting an alternate version of Dark Rebellion in 137, so that'll be really, really interesting, especially if he does Star Venom and Odd Eyes at some point. Maybe when he summons Odd Eyes, that's when Yuya, maybe he'll do that in 139, and that's kind of when Zark is shaken. And based off that 140 summary too, Ray tells Reira that there is a soul residing inside Zark. Is that a soul of a 5th, entity of darkness that I've kind of always believed is maybe there, that corrupted Zark as a whole? And then when they split off, that entity of darkness was very weak, but it was still inside all of them, because it wasn't strong enough to be its own individual person. And so, is there a 5th person within Zark that is really pulling the strings here? That's what I've kind of believed for a bit. That line would lead you to believe that it's very possible. We'll see. And also the duelists who have challenged him feel the same, so maybe they also believe that it's not any of the U-boys. But you guys let me know what you think of all this down below. Let me know if you like these 1-episode duels. Let me know if you think it's kind of a shame that they're only 1-episode duels. But then again, if they're all intrusion penalties, it really could turn into like a 7-episode duel. So we'll see how they handle it. There's not a lot to go off here, guys, but let me know all your thoughts down below. And by the way, that contest where we've already gotten a bunch of entries, so I hope you enter, it starts in 139. We're probably only going to have the summaries for 139 and 140 by the 23rd, or by the 19th, of January, which is when this contest closes. So try to get those entries in. We now know 139 will be a 1-episode. There's probably going to be at least 10,000 life points in that duel alone, and then who knows what the heck's going to happen in 141, 42, 43, and 44, but yeah, try to get those entries in, guys. So, anyway, thank you for watching. Comment down below. Have a great day.